What's up, military millionaires? Today, I want to talk to you about what you need to learn from this mess. And I think we all know what I'm talking about when I say this mess, but can't really say the term on here because YouTube is blocking and demonetizing and pushing stuff down in search. But what I want to really, this doesn't matter if it's for this mess or another mess. So, any big kind of catastrophe, panic type thing, these are key pointers that I've learned from watching people throughout this, and some things that you really got to pay attention to and be aware of to protect yourself in the future, and really to just avoid the making things worse than they need to be. Number one is that your finances are not in order if you can't afford 2 months off of work. Now, I'm not trying to make light of the situation and say that it should be expected to not have to work, but the reality is stuff happens. And whether or not there was a big issue, you could get laid off from your job. So you need to be prepared. And realistically, even if that's a credit card to survive for the next 2 months, like that's not ideal. And I don't recommend that. You need to have an emergency fund. But that would at least allow you to pay rent. And if you can't pay rent and you can't eat, I mean, you need to seriously step back and reevaluate the Jordans you're buying, the watch you're buying, the car you're buying, and make sure that you have enough saved up that you can survive for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months without pay. Because stuff like this does happen. This is not the first time layoffs have happened. Heck, in the last year, the military threatened not to pay, and the Coast Guard didn't even get paid for a month or two. We kind of saw it there. And so you need to be able to ensure that you can survive if you don't have a paycheck. There's a lot of people getting laid off right now, and that's unfortunate. What's more unfortunate is that they may end up getting evicted if they can't pay their rent, because the bank's not going to say, oh, you don't have to pay your mortgage. There's just a lot of things that don't happen. And so you need to take precautions to ensure that you can afford to live even if your income dries up for a month or two. And I say this, but I have some friends who are dealing with this right now. I have some friends who've lost one job. I have some friends who've lost 2 jobs. I have some friends who've just temporarily out of work for a week or two. But it's really unfortunate to see that they're in a situation where life's not good because they weren't prepared. Number 2 is that the media has an incredible amount of influence. Now, I just finally ordered the book Manufacturing Consent that my buddy Alex raves about. Excited to read it. And it really talks about this. But there's a lot of other key things. I mean, you could watch CNN and Fox on 2 different televisions tell the exact same story with a completely different spinoff, and depending on which one you're paying attention to, your emotions could be pulled either direction. And anger and fear are the 2 strongest human emotions, and that's what the media plays on. Now, this is not a conspiracy theory. I'm not trying to make light of this situation, but what I'm saying is this whole thing could happen without you panicking. And there's not really a need for the panic, but yet it's here. And the panic is in large part due to the media. You know, if you see what the U.S. puts on the media, if you see U.S. news from another country, from another country's news source, it's very different than when you watch in the U.S. I'm not right, wrong, or indifferent, but there's a reason I don't watch the news. You know, I get what I need to get without having to sit and watch a television. So I would say this. Be very careful about what you're getting your news from. You go to the CDC website, go to the World Health Organization website. Use those platforms for information on things like this, as opposed to relying on the media, which, like it or not, they make money based on how much people are engaged. And so it's not good journalism for them to tell very objective, not emotionally compelling stories. So they're going to pull on your heartstrings a little bit. That's just the nature of the beast. Number 3, toilet paper shows us why investing in the stock market can be less than ideal. And on the flip side, there are some great discounts on stocks right now. Now, what I mean by this is people got very emotional and just started grabbing toilet paper and Purell. I mean, they cleaned aisles out. The stock market operates similarly. It's been going down because people are emotionally doing the opposite of the toilet paper. They're getting rid of stuff. And there's other factors, don't get me wrong, but the emotions that play into this definitely drive the roller coaster a little bit. So the stock market is not always ideal. You need to be able to recognize those emotions. You need to be able to keep your own emotions out of it when you're investing. That's why I like things like index funds and the thrift savings plan, where it's automated and you don't get emotional. You set it and you forget it. I've invested in some stocks individually, though, There are some great discounts out there. I bought some stocks for 75% off, 80% off over the last few weeks. And it's risky. It could keep going down. Some of those companies could go bankrupt. But realistically, if one of them goes back to its original value, then I could lose money on 3 others, and I'd still break even. And by lose money, I mean they all go bankrupt. So if I buy 4 companies at 75% discount, and 3 of them bankrupt, and one goes back to normal value, I'm really basically back up, percentage-wise, assuming they were all the same dollar amount. Obviously, there's variables there, but I feel like that's a somewhat safe bet, assuming they're companies you think will be around for the long haul, you're investing long term, and normal investing principles stand out. Now, I'm going to throw my Robinhood code down below. You guys have seen me plug it once or twice over the last week because I'm using it. I've put $1,500 into the stock market over the last week or two, kind of gambling. The market's up and down. It's hit or miss. I'm not recommending that you can go do this, but if you're interested in dumping some money in and buying some discount stocks, if you use that code, we both get a free stock. And somebody I gave the code to got a really solid free stock. So it can't hurt. If nothing else, you're getting it discounted. So if that goes back up in value, it's some free money. Number 4, people are selfish in panic mode. The CDC said to buy 2 weeks worth of food, and people were buying months worth of food. I mean, it's crazy. Some of the stuff I saw people fighting over, like literally fighting over. And cleaning out toilet paper. Like, first off, I don't know what y'all were wiping your ass with before you bought all this toilet paper, because clearly you didn't have any. But second, you needed a whole cart full of toilet paper for your family? Or are you planning on living in your house for a year? 2 years? I mean, toilet paper lasts a while. I have a decent amount of toilet paper because I have Airbnbs, but I don't have nearly as much as I saw some people buying for just their family. So don't buy into the panic. Don't get selfish. You're just making things worse. I've talked to some friends in other countries who had the same issues. In fact, some countries are doing worse than we are. And, they're calmly doing whatever. The media is not hyping stuff up, or for whatever reason, they're not in a panic. And so they're getting what they need, for 2 weeks, and there's still stuff on the shelves. So don't be the selfish person. Don't buy into the hype. Don't let panic take over. Be calm. Number 5, I put down here, you need a go bag. Now, I am not a conspiracy theory guy. I'm not telling you need a go bag, like in case the world ends, to run out the back door and, grab your backpack and disappear into zombie land. But I am telling you that you need to be prepared, whether that's some dehydrated meals or even meals ready to eat. I mean, there's plenty of options to have food on standby. You can always keep some water on standby, but you need to have a first aid kit in your house. I mean, I saw people freaking out about not having first aid kits. That's totally unnecessary. You should have a first aid kit, at least in your car, but especially you should have one, I would imagine, in your house. First aid kit, some food, basic essentials. If you have a firearm, have ammunition on hand, have a flashlight, a chargeable one, and keep it on the wall charging or whatever, or batteries, and batteries are good to have. I mentioned first aid kit, maybe a water purifier or water purifying tablets, some of these things that can come in handy. But you got to remember, guys, throughout all of this, people are going kind of crazy out here in San Diego right now, and it's not a hurricane. There's still power. There's still water. This isn't going to affect either of those. So imagine if it was like a hurricane and all of a sudden neither of those were there. Yeah, that's how you get looting, but just how much worse this would be. So just think about that. Think about how ill-prepared people were for something that's not even taking out power and taking cities off grid. So make sure that you're preparing yourself and you have a plan, right? It's no different than everything else you do in the military or really in life, or even Boy Scouts, whatever. Be prepared, have a plan, and be ready to execute that plan. You need to be ready. So these are some things you need to learn from this mess and how to protect yourself from issues going forward. If you guys like these videos, like the little hip pocket stuff, shoot me some things that you want me to do. If you like them, put in the comments down below some things that you would like me to do these videos on and discuss. And I would love to give you some bullet points on this, because these videos are pretty quick and painless, and I enjoy doing them. So have a great day.